All right, so today we're going to do my favorite thing, which is body prep and washing a vehicle. If you can't tell, my face is really excited because I love washing cars. But I want to cover some of the accessories you can use while you're, prepping the vehicle, washing the vehicle. Things that make your life easier, especially when you're doing this every day, all day. So Prism Car Wash, that's what we're going to start with because we got to clean the surface of this car. Nice things about Prism Car Wash, it's dilutable up to 1 to 128, and it's not going to carry any waxes or fillers along with it. So for our later steps where we're going to do paint correction and everything along with that, we're really not going to be fighting ourselves, because we've got silicones and everything else on the surfaces. So let's kind of dive into it. So we've got our two standard buckets here, and we are utilizing grit guards. It's really just so any contamination, dirt, grime that you get in your wash mitts, you can then, when you're washing, you dunk your wash mitt into your bucket, and you can simply scrub it around to try and minimize, the amount of contamination that you've picked up off the surface of the vehicle, put back in here, and then use with your wash. This is a microfiber wash mitt. I love to use this on cars that are a little bit more delicate, especially something that's been ceramic coated. If you've got to touch it, make sure you try and use the softest things possible. Let's cover everybody's favorite because it looks cool. It's the foam gun. I know it's not like the cannon that you would put on the end of your power washer, but this is really nice because everybody can use one of these. All you need is a simple garden hose. And the one that I use even has an attachment on the end of the hose nozzle. So you just pull it back, slap that right on, and you can cannon the entire car or foam gun the entire car. And then all you simply do is pull it off, pop it off, and your hose is ready to work as a natural or a normal hose. It's convenient, it's quick, it's easy. I think the one thing to remember when you're using these though is pay attention to what the dilution is supposed to be on the soap that you're using. If it is able to be diluted, I would suggest not to use too concentrated of a soap because it's harder to clean off. The next step up would be the foam cannon from the foam gun. If you have the ability to use a power washer or you have a power washer of your own, the foam cannon is a really great option. It carries a lot more pressure behind it, which is more efficient in removing the dirt from the exterior surface without any manual agitation. That being said, you still have to be careful because it does use a lot more pressure, and you want to make sure you're not too close to the painted surfaces so that you don't damage the paint. So everybody knows standard general purpose microfiber. I use it for products like these. Target, it's a great product and it does exactly what it sounds like. It's very good at dissolving the tar and everything that gets on the sides of your vehicle. The other nice thing about Target is it'll actually strip and remove any of your waxes. It's as simple as it sounds. You take a little bit of this and you can either spray it onto the surface you're working with, or you can rub it on with like a standard microfiber. Now I don't use like our Ultra Plush or anything like that. I just use the standard Hornet. It seems to do a pretty good job, and if you're in a pinch, it works just fine. So the other side of it is, I like to use this with the Cosmoline remover, Target products along the lines of that when we're trying to essentially melt the tar off the side of a car. Bug scrubber. I'm sure most everybody's got one of these in a bucket inside their bay, and if you don't, maybe you should invest in one because they work really, really well. These are a great thing to couple with our Bug Off. Bug Off's an RTU product, which means it's ready to use. Put it in your trigger sprayer and you're ready to go. Some of the nice things about Bug Off are you can use it as a pre-spot treatment. So essentially, prior to washing, go around, find the really densely nasty areas where all the bugs have collected, and go ahead and spray it, hood, bumpers, fenders, and let it really dissolve those bugs. So when you're washing, it comes off all in one step. The idea, or the key with this, is to make sure it's always a lubricated surface that you're working on. And just bear in mind that this is somewhat tough. It's got very open pores. Anything that's on the surface of the paint, just like with the clay mitt, you could still scratch with this. So you need to be careful and make sure that you're using the appropriate products along with it so that this is always lubricated and you're not just dry scrubbing this on the surface. So let's get into some more accessories that we've got out here on the table. The next one being our clay mitt. I'm sure that most of you have seen one of these before. If not, it works just like standard clay. This blue one is actually a finer. It's not going to really pull anything really heavy off the surface, but this works really great for a quick overall. I would like to say that anytime I'm using any sort of clay, whether it's a mitt or it's a clay bar, I generally don't use one of these unless I'm going to follow it up with paint correction, because you are abrading the surface of the paint. So just bear in mind, this works really well. It'll definitely get the surfaces of your paint clean, but anytime there's some kind of contamination on top of the painted surface and you rub it, you're generally going to leave some type of scratch behind. Whether it be super fine or not, it's just something to remember. So let's get into to drying. This is always kind of a hot topic, especially when you're holding one of these in your hand, because everybody's seen it before. Somebody wipes off a car and there's either dirt on this blade, or there's dirt on the surface of the car, or some sort of contamination. It doesn't even have to be dirt. And then you drag this. So again, anytime you drag anything on the surface of a paint or anything on a painted surface, you run the potential to scratch it. So would I use this on a show car or a car that I'm going to do a full paint correction on and then a ceramic coat? Probably not. But if I'm at a dealership and I've got to do a quick delivery and I don't have a lot of time and I've got to turn and burn, this probably isn't a bad thing to look at. The nice thing is it makes the car really dry. You're not blowing through towels all day long. The other thing, or another drying method or accessory that you can use, is a chamois. These work really, really well. The key is just to remember to keep them damp, because if you go to use it and it's as solid as a brick and you've got to soften it, you're losing time. So when you store these, it's nice to kind of store them with a little bit of water, keep them a little bit damp. But remember to kind of like wring them out every once in a while and freshen them. Otherwise, they can start to hold old water and it'll start to smell moldy. So, keep your tools clean. This is a tool, make sure you work on it, keep it clean, and it'll reward you. This is my preferred method, especially on my own vehicles. I like to dry my vehicles with air. So it doesn't matter if you've got, your standard little trigger spray or trigger air gun, or, I use an air blade. I use air and I still dry top to bottom, but the less you touch the surface of a vehicle, the less opportunity there is to induce a scratch. It's simple, it's easy, and it's free. The only downside is if you don't have a dual stage compressor, this could potentially take you a fairly long time, because you could be waiting for your air pressure to keep building up. So for a large shop or for somebody with a dual stage compressor, drying with air is probably a really efficient way. There are other people out there that'll do it even with a backpack blower. So listen, there's other options, but these are kind of the ones that we've just presented to you. Pow, pow, pow.